Hello everyone, welcome back to Affinity for Commander. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be taking a look at probably one of the best mono-white commanders ever printed, and I'm not even being hyperbolic when I say that. But just before, as always, if you like any of the cards you see in this deck tech or want to purchase the full deck list for yourself, then be sure to do so through any of our lovely affiliate links in the description box below. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but really helps the channel out a lot. Now, let's get into our broken bunny rabbit. Preston the Vanisher is a legendary 2/5 rabbit wizard for 3 generic mana and 1 white. He reads, whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, if it wasn't cast, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's a 0/1 white illusion. And for 1 generic and 1 white mana, sacrifice 5 illusions, exile target non-land permanent. So Preston's ability essentially copies any creature that enters our side of the board, but makes the 0/1 illusion instead of its regular creature types, with 2 minor conditions. It's a 0/1, which isn't fantastic considering combat's one of the primary ways white wins the game, and it can't be cast, which means we're going to have to flicker everything, which is not that much of an issue in a mono-white deck. So yes, we're going to be exiling and then returning to play pretty much all of our creatures as many times as possible to get around the whole you can't cast them subclause of Preston's ability. So let's get into the strengths, weaknesses and silliness of this rabbit-headed deck. At the 1-drop slot, we've got 2 of our much needed flicker effects in Cloud Shift and Ephemerate, with the latter being a repeatable effect on our next turn. And since we're planning on having a lot of creatures entering and re-entering, not to mention Preston's token producing ability, we're also including Soul's Attendant to take advantage of this by gaining a load of life. But life gain doesn't win the game. It's not the main idea of the deck now. But milling does win the game. So Altar of the Brood and the Enlightened Tutor to fetch it are much needed, especially for our combo, which we'll get onto later. And we've also got the good old Swords to Plowshares and Path to Exile to get rid of any problematic creatures, and land tax to ensure we never miss a land drop, because honestly that's about as good as we're going to get in terms of ramp in mono white. Now I say that, but moving up to the 2-drop slot, provided one person at least has more lands than us, then we get to trigger Knight of the White Orchid or Loyal Warhound to fetch us upper planes, which can then be flickered later on to help catch up to other players if needs be. We also have some artifact ramp in Mind Stone and Pearl Medallion to make all our spells 1 generic cheaper. Along with the white ramp, we've also got some good blink targets in Wall of Omens and Spirited Companion to draw some cards, and Charming Prince. As especially with the tokens entering, with the prince we get to choose all different effects should we need, depending on what we want at the exact moment. And finally, to get rid of any problematic permanents, Heliod's Intervention gets rid of any pesky artifacts enchantments, and Darkstone Mutation turns the biggest threats into teeny tiny 0/1 bugs. Moving up to the 3-drop slot, we've got more ways to blink our creatures in Acrobatic Maneuver, Eerie Interlude, which is great board wipe insurance, Eldrazi Displacer for an on-demand flicker effect, and Flicker Wisp, because I'm pretty sure by law we have to run this card. And speaking of flickering for good targets for such effects, and thus making tokens with Preston, we have Circuit Mender for drawing and gaining life, Fiend Hunter to get rid of anything annoying, and should it be stacked properly with a blink effect, can just straight get rid of a creature, Inspiring Overseer for a flying blocker that also draws a card. We've also got more card draw potential in Rumor Gatherer, who triggers off of Preston's tokens, Welcoming Vampire, and Moon Blessed Cleric, who, whilst I agree isn't strictly card draw, being able to tutor up any key enchantment is super helpful. For some removal, we've got Mangara of Corindor and Skyclave Apparition, which, when we're generating 2 of them through blinking, is just going to leave our opponents with, frankly, no creatures to speak of. Beyond this removal, we've also got the White Beast within in Generous Gift and Oblivion Ring, who we are able to blink around with certain effects to stop anything big should a more superior threat emerge. Just do be aware we don't get a copy of Oblivion Ring with Preston's ability. That's only for creatures. Moving up to the 4-drops, we've got our last few flicker effects in Felidar Guardian, Golden Argosy, and Restoration Angel for creature-based blinking. Teleportation Circle for some end-step enchantment blinking, and finally Semester's End to vamp up our board with some counters, and Laziel's Acrobatics, which at worst is blinking every non-token for turn, which saves us should we need some blockers. And then we can even get double ETBs if we roll a 10 or higher. As for blinking targets, we've got only the 2 at 4 CMC in Solemn Simulacrum and Core Cartographer. 2 ways in which we can hopefully get ahead land-wise rather than just keeping up. We are, however, a token deck that cares about ETBs, so Anointed Procession and Panharmonicon will massively help out with doubling up our illusions and doubling up our ETBs when those illusions enter the battlefield. Speaking of doubling up, Primal Amulet makes all our blink, instants and sorceries cheaper, and when it flips into Primal Wellspring, then we get to double up our instants and sorceries by copying them. Whether that be just flickering or just being really generous with our gifts. Now onto the top end of our curve, we've got our final few flickering targets, our combo, and means to buff our board. Which we may as well start off with that, as Cathar's Crusade means whenever we blink a creature and get a token copy, all of our creatures get 2 +1/+1 counters on them, which will get out of hand rather quickly. Reverent Hoplite and Defiler of Faith both generate us tokens, with the Defiler making our spells also cheaper to cast, and making some of that life we've gained actually be put to good use. And we're also running Karmic Guide and Revelark, not for their particular nonsense combo potential, which definitely exists, but for the absurd value they can generate by just coming in and making tokens when flickered. No, for the combo, that comes from our Lumbering Beast, the Lumbering Battlements. For it to work, we need Restoration Angel to already be on the battlefield, and then cast the Beast. Exiling the Angel and whatever else we want to blink under him. We then cast 1 flicker spell, and the chain goes off. The Beast is exiled and returns, but returns at the same time-ish as the Angel and whatever we exiled. We then stack the triggers to have the Angel target the Beast, and the Beast exile the Angel and any other target we want. Our targets are exiled under the Beast, and then the Restoration Angel trigger is still in the stack and now resolves, flickering the Beast, and so the Beast is flickered, and the cycle repeats, and everything comes back again and again and again. This repeats until you decide to name nothing with the Lumbering Battlements, and you now have as many ETBs as you want from the creatures you already had in play. This can get you infinite life with Soul's Attendants, all of your planes out of your deck with Core Cartographer, or just mill everyone with Altar of the Brood. Oh, and while this is going on, if Preston is also out, you also create as many 0/1 illusions as times you do the loop of both the Angel and the Beast and whatever you flickered. Personally, I like to do the loop 24,601 times, which if you get that reference, leave it in the comments below and we can be friends. Now the last few cards I want to talk about are just some removal and of course Sun Titan. He is practically the patron saint of mono white at this point. However, if other people are getting out of hand and getting value, then Duplicant can stop them right in their tracks, especially when we flicker him to get another copy to do it again. Or Hour of Reckoning leaves our tokens alone but destroys all other creatures, and Farewell still remains one of the most versatile and best board wipes in the game. Now onto the land base for the deck, which is, yes, mostly basic planes, but we do have some important lands for card draw and even reanimation. Emeria the Sky Rune is a great reward for playing mono white in being able to get any creature from our grave to the battlefield each turn. War Room lets us draw a card for a measly 1 life, and Nixos Shrine to Nyx is going to be tapping for more mana than a mono green player with Nyxblimation out. Remember, tokens of creatures still count towards our devotion, so make sure you are keeping track of what these tokens actually are. Overall, the immense value Preston brings to the mono-white Flicker deck is honestly just next level. He essentially functions as an additional Panharmonicon by getting in that ETB a second time with the 0-1 illusion he generates. And this is all to be said without even mentioning his second ability, to, should anything happen to our illusions, being able to get rid of them, to get rid of literally any non-land permanent on the board that we don't like, and they're 0-1s that have already entered. We don't really care about them after that point. Yes, Preston is definitely a fantastic addition to the roster of actually decent and good mono-white commanders. In fact, for me personally, it's going to be move over Heliod. Preston is now my new mono-white commander, and I cannot wait to flicker him and everything else to absolutely drown my opponents in ETB value. And that'll be it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. What are your favourite Flicker targets in mono white? Leave them in the comments below. We read every single one. As always, this type of content and all content on Affinity for Commander is brought to you by our amazing patrons. You guys are truly awesome, and we cannot thank you enough for your continued support. If you too would like to become a patron of the channel and have access to exclusive EDH related rewards, then be sure to check out the links in the description box below. However, you can support the channel in a number of other quick and easy ways, liking this video, subscribing, and sharing it on your favourite social media platform. But as always, guys, I've been Alex, and I will see you next time.